arrested for threatening them with being fired, forced them to go into retirement. These are well-qualified senior teachers that were mentors and were the actual people that would bring the new teachers along. Well, so now the district has taken and is putting out an incentive for teachers to retire. This is what I said they should have done in the first place. So my understanding, we're going to get the final written on this, but right now what I know is they're going to give the teachers 15% of their current salary for 5 years if they retire. So you take a senior teacher, that's probably can be anywhere 60, 70,000, 75,000, say 70,000. 15% a year for 5 years. So what does that come out to? About $10,000 a year, a little more, and 10.5. So that would be an incentive to retire if you're there. But after they harmed all those teachers that they threatened and forced out, how are they going to make restitution? How are they going to, and we already have phone calls coming in tonight, and we have a new phone number too, by the way. Is it on the screen? There it is, 747-3838. That's a new phone number. It changed this week, so remember to call the new number if you still have the old number. But how do they make restitutions to those teachers that they harmed over this last year? You know, how is the Superintendent Silva going to make restitution? That's going to be the question. We're going to have this discussion at the school board meeting next week. All right, next Tuesday. Now, we're also going to talk about the Matamidi School District tonight and Grant Township, and we have a lot on that. And then we're going to get into the Maplewood, well, it's really the Civil Rights Commission, but they call themselves the Human Rights Commission. And they don't understand the difference between a civil right and a human right, and I'll explain that. And we're also going to get into the overpriced street improvements they're trying to push down people's throat. At the council meeting, what's going to be interesting here is, of course, they didn't, Billy Rosbach, the chairperson, wouldn't let me inform the people what was going on, and we're going to talk about that, the things that should have been told these people, that in fact, when the council told those people that, well, we're still in the decision-making process here, the council, the city, had already bought the bonds, sold the bonds for the project. It was over and done. The deal was done. I mean, when the things I wanted to tell people about, the reason that they have to charge you at least 20% is otherwise these projects would have to go to a referendum. And the reason that they need these projects is to offset staff salary against the projects. There was all kinds of things, but of course, Mr. Rosbach, again, this is a public hearing, denied me the right to speak at a public hearing. And that'll tie into what I'm going to talk about at the Civil Rights Commission, even though they call it a Human Rights Commission. So we'll talk about that, because there's a couple people that are pretty straight up on that, and then there's some people that haven't got a clue. They don't realize, and I'll talk about her. She doesn't realize the difference between a government power, the government of a police state, the government, the power of the government and being in charge of that, as opposed to no power of a citizen and the press. You can't differentiate. So you know, we put people on these commissions, some of which have no clue. All right. Of course, they're there for a purpose, and we'll explain that. All right. Which camera are we going to stay on? Let's take the, okay. Let's take the, yeah, the guy in the swivel chair. Well, caller, call back. Swivel chair. He can't even push the right button. He doesn't even know the difference between a door frame and the set. Producer, explain to him the difference between a door frame there and the set. You know this. Volunteer help. All right. We lost the caller. Caller, call back in. Feel free to call in. Let's start, of course, as always, like I said, everything that's presented on this show, it's my opinion, but it's well documented, researched, and thought out, and that's why we have a lot of video clips to substantiate exactly what my opinion is built on and based on. All right, are we ready with the video? Okay, go ahead with the first clip. Now, I'll explain these things as we go along. This one, I think we're going to start with
It has to do with people who live in the area, and so, seeing you live in another city.
Mr. Rosbach, I have
Mr.
financial
Mr.
and property
Zick,
interest in Maplewood.
in this
and this is a
assessment
public
area.
hearing, and are you going to deny me my right to speak?
Yes, I am.
All right, that's on the record.
Thank you. Are there any
There's
other?
a lot of things
are there
these
any
people
other
need to know
residents?
about this process.
Are there any other residents that want to speak?
All right.
The last person signed up.
You see, this is when I talked to the Human Rights Commission or the Civil Rights Commission a little later in these clips, I told them about Mr. Rosbach's previous apology that they used to dismiss my discrimination complaint against Mr. Rosbach because he made this worthless apology. Apologies mean nothing. This former city manager or interim city manager up there now, Chuck All, used to apologize to the mayor, Diane Longry, I don't know, 10, 20 times a night. Oh, I'm sorry, Mayor. I'm sorry we didn't. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Didn't mean anything. Didn't mean anything. Mr. Rosbach's apologies don't mean anything. So you'll see the way his demeanor is about the way he treats people. All right, let's go to the next clip. This is one of the people.
My name is Donald Schmea. I live at 1706 Abel. I guess I just got a question and a comment. My street is in very good shape. And I'm trying to figure out what the improvement is going to be to my street since I've already paid the assessment back in '91 when they put the street through. And I mean, I actually asked Michael Thompson to walk down my street the last meeting I went to and to show me anything that's wrong with my street, because the street looks very nice and it runs into Kingston, which looks very nice. So I'm wondering what the benefit to me is going to be. Where's the money benefit ever going to be? Is it going to be something under the street that nobody's going to see, that some assessor's going to come out when I sell my house and I can get a lower interest rate? Just don't do it. It'll be zero. It's pretty simple. So I'm trying to figure out where my benefit's going to be on my street, since it looks so good, has a great pitch running down to Kingston, which might cause a problem down there, I'm not sure. I'm just wondering where that benefit's going to be on my street.
I believe in front of your house we're burying a sizable nugget of gold down in the street.
But no digging is allowed.
You have a real answer, or is this something that would require further discussion later on? Or?
Yep. Mayor and Council, Steve Coomer can address that specifically.
Mayor and Council, this entire area of the neighborhood was redone back in 1991 as part of a water main improvement. Kingston Avenue from Jackson Street to Gurney Street, as well as Beaumont Street and a section of Abel Street, I believe, had a water main improvement done on it in 1991. Back then, they didn't put new concrete curb and gutter on the streets, and part of the reason that these residents are receiving a the $5,000 assessment versus the $5,800 assessment is because they're receiving a credit for that improvement, essentially.
So the water main part of it.
Yes, there was the pavement was redone back in 1991. So essentially, we're going to come back in there and put in curb and gutter and redo the pavement surface in that area. And also, we're going to be doing a storm sewer improvement down at the end of Beaumont Street as well to deal with some erosion issues.
So I'm going to get a new street, which I don't need because it's in very good shape, but I am going to get curb and gutters, and that's what I'm going to
And
pay
storm sewer.
$5,000 for.
And storm sewer.
Is that what you're saying?
Yep. Mayor and
Sounds about like that's about it.
Yeah. Pretty ridiculous.
Go ahead, Mr. Thompson.
Mayor and council, as part of these projects of neighborhood improvement, as Ms. Juniman mentioned, yeah, sometimes water main was put in, but there wasn't thought to the system. The storm sewer's not there, there's no curb and gutter, so it's an entire reconstruction of that street. So that is the benefit to that street.
Well, in not necessarily having to do with your direct benefit, I mean, we do, of course, do areas in the city. We don't,
There's no benefit whatsoever to this individual. And I think later we will show all Mr. Thompson, Planner Thompson, you know, they have so many planners and engineers up there. And of course, every time something needs to be done, they need to bring in outside consultants and engineers to actually do all the work. And, you know, but we can bill these city bureaucrats against these projects. And that's what goes on up there. And these neighbors are happy with their streets. But see, Maplewood has this huge bureaucracy up there, and to keep feeding the monster, they need to keep pushing these projects forward because they can take 20–30% of the project cost and use it to pay for employee staff time up there for the bureaucrats. So it was unbelievable of how many people up there notified the city that they were contesting. You know, when I talk about this, it's interesting on these street improvements in that area over there across the streets from Goodrich Golf Course, in there behind the big mega church. The streets went in there, and the residents in there were assessed about $7,600 apiece. I have those figures here. And that the one resident over there who contested it and took it to court, the court said the city could not substantiate the benefit, cost benefit that they wanted to impose on this homeowner to increase the value of the homeowner's property, and so therefore the courts did not allow this $7,000 assessment. And one of the things I wanted to talk about for the people that were at the meeting Monday night. Of course, what's interesting is Marv Copen lives in that same area where the streets are done. Councilman Marv Copen, his assessment was only $2,200 when everybody else over there was assessed $7,600. Interesting. And then you look at John Nephew, councilperson, and Billy Rosbach, councilperson. Rosbach lives on County Road C and Nephew lives on County Road B. When those streets went in, they didn't get assessed anything. So, you know, so there's an example of 3 of the council people that are pushing these huge $7,000, $6,000 assessments against these homeowners. I mean, it's interesting, and we're going to talk a little later when we get into this Human Rights Commission stuff about John Nephew's need for attention and where that came from in his early childhood. All right, so let's go. I wanted to get into Grant before we got into too much of this, but let's go through the city council stuff, and then I'll try to get Grant in there. All right. Do we have a call, or do you want to play the next clip? Play the next clip. Or play the, okay, phone call. Caller, are you with us? Question or comment?
Yes, I'm here, Bob, and you're right on as usual.
Thank you. Thank you.
What I have to talk about is the hypocrites that are running the city of Maplewood. You know, they come with this thing at the last council meeting that they're going to share their engineering with Roseville now. Now, that is the most stupidity I've ever heard in my life, because every time they have a job that they're doing in the city of Maplewood, they have to have a consultant come in to do it because they don't have enough time in the engineering department. Now, where do they get the time with Roseville to work in with them? And in fact, they'll never, ever get anything back from them. So this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life. And, well, it goes along with the city people that are running the place over there. The other thing is I want to go on a Juniman a little bit here. Remember when she was moaning and groaning about the dispatch center? She was using the media as often as she could to whine and cry and tell about how the people on the council were, making faces and all the disparities they were using against the public. And but I don't know, her memory must be awful short, or maybe she don't even have one. But anyway, if you can talk on some of these things, I'd sure like to sit back and listen to what you got to say. I won't cut you off like our whatever you call him up there in the middle does. So talk to you later.
Thank you, caller. Caller's right. We have clips of Kathy Juniman before she was on the council. And what the person she was then to the person she has become, she is the epitome of what she complained about when she talked about the council members that were in place when she wanted to get on the council. You have to remember that, like Rossbach, Juniman feels like they have a birthright to those positions because of their father, of their uncle. So they feel that they're the blue blood, the old blood of the city, and they get to have those positions and tell the subjects, the rest of us, how we have to bow to them. So you're absolutely right, caller. And more people refer to her as Kathy Dingy, and we've had plenty of clips. All right, let's finish playing what we were about the individual that we'll talk about Grant a little bit. Set back up where you were, and we'll finish the rest of that. Well, we were going to...
Isn't it in my particular...
Keep going. I want to talk about Grant in the Matamidi School District. I hate to break back and forth like this, but to get back to the clips there, I have to give them some time. The state auditor notified by writing, and of course I have a copy of that, notified the Matamidi School District that they used, here it is right here, that's all right, I'll just read it. This is to Superintendent Mark Larson, and this is to inform them that the bid process did not meet state law. It did not meet the statutory requirements for the new athletic fields and I guess the new elementary school. And so because of that, the state now is going to do the permitting and the inspection if this new school or the athletic fields get built. What the school district did is cause a $30,000 loss to the city of Grant, because now the construction permit fees, instead of going to the city of Grant, will go to the state of Minnesota. So that's how the school district harmed the city of Grant with this process of not following state law. Now, the other thing people need to understand is we keep talking about this open enrollment of 26%. And actually, that's, we looked at the figures now for the two schools up there, the O.H. Anderson Elementary and the other grade school. And between the two grade schools, there's 26% students from outside the district. So I think if the people would have understood how many students are in the school district that are from other districts, they would have never approved a $45 million bond levy referendum by 22 votes, which were swung by having the seniors that were 18 go over and vote. So released from school to go vote. So if the information would have been all out there that shows there is no need for a new elementary school, this is just another build project that's driven by quid pro quo of the district and job creation. And you know, I'm going to take a lot of heat for saying that because those are our jobs. But you know, I keep saying it makes no sense for me to take my billfold from my left pocket and put it into the right pocket because we're the same people that pay for these projects. So we have that. And that's the one issue. And they're saying we have another phone call. Then there is the next issue here of the, if that phone call is about Matamidi or Grant, I'll take it. No. All right. An illegal notice for an emergency meeting. Of course, we have the statutes here. We always do the legwork on this stuff. And that was by the Grant City Council to approve the conditional use permit for building the athletic field. So that was done without the specs or the full knowledge of what was going on. It was just pushed, and it was pushed through the Planning Commission. Did not have the opportunity to look at the specs, have the information they needed to make a decision, and the council had already put in motion this emergency meeting to hand the school district this conditional use permit. Well, that process by the council violated Minnesota Statute 13D.04, and this is and we have a ruling from the Minnesota Investigative Policy Analysis Department. It's referred to as IPAD, and the request was not filed in writing with the city clerk. And what was interesting is that request was notarized, or the fact that they hadn't met the requirements for a special meeting was actually notarized by City Councilman Scott. Where's Scott's last name? Anderson. And I get so many papers out here. Fogelson, Scott Fogelson. And so he actually notarized the fact that we have a, well, here, it's right here. Here it is. It's notarized right here that the, there's the notarized statement that the the city did not take and meet the requirements of the law. So we have that. And so the process goes on and on. That after that, but I have to say this for Scott Fogelson. Talked to him today, and he did invite Inside Insight to cover the before secret. I say before. Up till this time, people didn't know this was going on. I brought it out at the Grant City Council meeting, their last meeting, that Scott invited Inside Insight to these before secret meetings between the school district liaison person, at the directive of the school board, I'm sure, Mark Larson, superintendent, and the mayors of the school district. So now, folks, this is a large meeting, all the mayors and under the now direction of the superintendent telling them what the school district expects. And so the public should be aware and informed about these kind of meetings. So before they were secret, the superintendent said, oh no, these are meetings that we don't want to let the public into. So we're going to be there, of course, with the invite and the camera. And so we're going to show you what the school district, what their agenda is, and so that this stuff doesn't just come upon the citizens and the information come out after they've been straddled with a $45 million bond referendum. All right, so then there's one more issue that goes along with this. The Minnesota Pollution Control Agency said that even though State Senator Ray Vanderveer asked the MPCA to be at the Planning Commission, and the chair of the Planning Commission, Lauren Peterson, asked, the MPCA said, unless the city council makes the request, they're not willing to come and share the information. So the council is unwilling to do that. I guess they must be afraid of what the MPCA might really bring out. So, people in Grant, be aware that this stuff is going on. If anybody has a concern or wants any more information, call into the show. We have more comments here. The one thing I do want to say on this, under this Minnesota statute here, when they call these emergency meetings, it's the opinion is that an emergency meeting is one where circumstances will not permit the public body to wait 3 days to give a notice of a special meeting. These circumstances may include dealing with the aftermath of a natural disaster such as a tornado, flood, or blizzard. Well, so the school district goes in there and says that, we have this emergency because we need to get this project and our illegally bid contractors going here. Once we get this started, it will be impossible for people to stop this. So we need this emergency meeting to get this conditional use permit so we can get this project underway so you can't stop that snowball rolling down the hill. So, keep these things in mind, folks, when you're talking about this. All right, they're saying we have a phone call. Let's take the phone call. Caller, are you with us? Question or comment?
Yes, I am. I have a comment.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. One of the things that happened this afternoon is the county redlined the access off 12, and they want all the cars and school buses to go over the Gateway Trail. So this is about the fourth change.
Okay, and caller, I know about this, but I'll have you explain that where the Gateway Trail crosses, is it Jamaica?
Yes, it's Jamaica.
Jamaica right there. You have the curve coming down. You have Jamaica. You have the state trail, and now they want to dump the school buses and this traffic all into this one intersection. And the testimony from the Trail Association, I think the DNR, all those people, and there was others, and you might talk about that a little bit, that thoroughly objected to having that traffic come together there, and the disaster, the horse trail and all these crossings, what kind of safety hazard that was going to cause. Am I right in that, caller?
Yes, you are. I was at the Planning Commission, and most of the commissioners were against any crossing there, and the DNR is only okayed a one-way buses only, or the access for the buses only. Now it's been thrown to the county, and the county says no, you can't have the access on 12. So they want, and so if you look at the numbers, you're going to be looking at 260 cars a day and 37 buses morning and night going both ways. From talking to different people and from what I understand, I don't believe the DNR is on the bandwagon for this. I don't think they want to see that at all. And the 800-pound gorilla in the room is they could put a driveway, not a public street, a driveway to 80th and require the school to pave it, and they would enhance safety by about 200%. There would be, no left-hand turns. They could come in the back way. It's kind of like if you go to the mall, in the two front entrances are packed, and the back way in, you're going to take the back way.
That's true.
And so this is another change that the Planning Commission is going to have to deal with.
Is the Planning Commission finally going to get the spec books?
As I understand, there's 3 or 4 spec books finally down at the offices. Of course, it's about 3 inches thick, and you better stay up all night to read them.
I couldn't believe the council authorizing approval of conditional use permits without even knowing the scope of the work. That was unbelievable. And the issue in talking to some of the reporters from the Pioneer Press, trying to explain to them that on this show we showed the toxins bubbling up out of the ground, that this is going to run down into that holding pond when they want to put in that sewer and water line, which is going to bring the Met Council into Grant, and it's going to follow that sewer line. That's going to have to, that line has to be 5 to 10 feet deep. It's going to break through that shield that was put on there, and that all those contaminants will run down into that holding pond, and then they're going to use that holding pond to irrigate the athletic fields. They'll pump all those contaminants back up on the playing fields that the kids will play on. Seems like a ludicrous approach to me.
Well,
so caller, thank you, unless you have another comment.
No, that's it. This whole thing hasn't been well thought out at all. They should probably rethink the whole thing. I
agree. Thank you, caller.
Thank you. There's
25 acres over there, I think, at O.H. Anderson. If they have more capacity and room, and it would be much safer for the elementary kids. And, it's once again this concept of we want this large campus. We want the high school, the middle school, the elementary school, the athletic fields. We want to build this grandiose, display for the affluence of the people in Matamidi, the poor people that are going to have to pay for this. There you go. All right. I think, unless we have another call, let's go back to that clip, and let's go back to Maplewood. We're going to run out of time.
Neighborhood or whole section, we'll call it, the only street that needs to be worked on is Gurney. I mean, all the way from Jackson, which is good, Kingston's good. Beaumont's my back property, which is good. What other street needs to be worked on other than Gurney?
It sounds like there are other improvements being made. And so, you know, you can file an objection. I assume you probably have.
Yes, the objection's been there.
Okay.
But it almost seems like it's going forward no matter what we're doing. I mean, somebody says you're already pulling out, you know, power lines or whatever. I mean, so I don't understand what the vote's even for if you're already moving forward on it. When you're obviously spending money, it's already being done.
Quite frankly, there's a fair chance it's going to go forward.
Yeah.
I mean, this is something that this council considers.
Gurney, maybe do Gurney.
Well, I
And leave
understand
the rest of it alone.
I understand that you think it's a great deal, except in front of your house. And so,
I think all the way down, Abel.
so that should be enough now. We understand your objection.
Okay.
Thank you. Assessment hearing, it has to do with.
Mr. Rosbach says there's a great chance that this will go forward. Well, of course it's going to go forward. They already bought the bonds, sold the bonds. I mean, that outfit up there, like the former candidate for mayor said, we just don't trust you people, referring to the council. We just don't trust you people, folks. All right, let's play the next one. We're going to run out of time here. Let's get some of these clips in here. We had 45 minutes of clips alone for you tonight, folks. This is just a sample. You know, Rosbach says,
good evening,
sit down and be
City
quiet.
Council and bureaucrats. Of course, I'm citizen Bob Zick, and I will comply with your request of Insight News Hour as seen on cable
That's a good
channel
thing.
15, Wednesday night, 8:30 to 9:30 p.m., and also on YouTube. The one good thing the city of Maplewood did, well, it's actually 2 weeks, I guess, is come out on the losing end of the court case with the citizen John Wyckoff, so now he can exercise his right of free speech and to petition the council. I think that was a wonderful thing that the city did. So that was on the end of my comments. I'll put it on the beginning. For the chair's benefit, all my questions are rhetorical, so please do not interject yourself into my time. The council policy is you do not respond to citizens' comments. So if you're going to violate your policy and make a slanderous response, I also insist you violate your 5-minute policy so I can repudiate your statements. Your new city goals as enacted within the past month state, and I read, operate within an environment of mutual respect, welcome and encourage citizen involvement. Although Bill Rosbach said in the Maplewood Review, we have to keep angry people away from City Hall. The rhetorical question then is, who are the angry people? Would they be all the citizens who want to keep their right to choose and contract their own trash hauler? Would the angry citizens be those who want to retain their right to have recreational wood fires? And are they the citizens who want to retain their right to park their garden trailer on their property? And are they the angry citizens who want to have their local fire station? Or are they the angry citizens who we saw tonight, who oppose your overpriced street construction? Or are they angry citizens who want to succeed from Maplewood and have Woodbury annex them? Or are they the angry people like Mr. John Wyckoff, who Kathy Juniman and the City Council placed a restraining order against to stop their citizen participation? Or are they angry citizens who want to rise up and elect a new mayor and council? Sounds like the whole city to me. Jean-Luc Picard said A prime directive is a philosophy, not just a set of rules like the council fabricates. And I might say those are the new council goals. I would encourage angry citizens to sign up between May 17th and May 30th for the upcoming council election. Because I have a financial and property interest in Maplewood, and you, Mr. Rossbach, stated earlier tonight that on any street project, the rest of the city pays for the bulk of the project. Therefore, once again, you were wrong in not allowing me to speak. So people know the Friday before last, of course, and that's what I started off with, the presiding judge ruled against the city in Mr. Wyckoff's favor. The next court ruling, probably in the millions, against this leadership in the city I'm waiting to report on, is the assault by the city of Patty Guerin, Wipers Recycling. The council, of course, had still another closed meeting on this lawsuit earlier. On Inside Insight of Wednesday night, I will be discussing the intentional, factual, inaccurate information you put out on the Western Hill area street construction projects that I was not allowed to discuss earlier. Thank you very much.
All right, so quickly, that Western Hills area is right north of Larpenteur, over by the water plant over there, Larpenteur, Roselawn, in that area. Actually, there's homes on the house up there, and the driveway that goes into the water plant that's used 99% by the water department is considered a street, and the city wants the people that are along there, that are up on the hill, to pay for that street reconstruction, and the water department would pay nothing. You know, you can see, we have a clip of all the people that were protesting. I mean, there had to be, I don't know, 50 people that didn't want to see this project. Remember that the way the city sets this up, they one of the women asked if they could see the evaluations that the city's appraisers did. And of course, you have to remember these appraisers are hired by the city, so they're going to give the city what they want. That's the way the game is always played. But the city told her, no, you can't have those appraisals. You know, folks, every realtor that I've talked to said they cannot substantiate those $7,000 assessments and call it an increased value in your home. It doesn't happen. So Mr. Cantrud, the city attorney, this was used in the case that the city lost, where the homeowner took the city to court, was the argument, well, if your house burns down and it's just a vacant piece of property, then the value of having a new street will increase the value of your property. The judge, in essence, said, don't come in here with that kind of gobbledygook. There's a house on that property. It's the people buy a house based on the value of the house. Don't come in here and try to tell the court that there's no house there now. You know, folks, this is unbelievable what the city pulls. All right, do we have another clip we want to play? Let's go to the next clip.
If we're talking that our officers no longer are going to be doing any of the emergency response, and it's all supposed to be through the fire department, we are restricting the amount of time it is able to respond for such things as heart attacks or anything where it's called that golden time that a person can actually find there's little or no damage if they are responded to by the emergency people.
30 seconds, Mr. Bradley.
Now, I guess my point here is that we are looking at that we are tightening that, but we haven't looked at any type of route other than 36 going to there. And if we were looking at it, are we going to be looking at that you're going to run a second road to Roselawn through the park so that we have an emergency facility that can actually do it? I think we should be looking at these impediments that are actually restricting our firemen and our policemen.
Thank you, Mr. Bradley.
All right, let's go right into the next clip. And Mr. Bradley here was talking about Frost Avenue, where the city, in their limited, I'm going to say limited ability to give the citizens what they want and reason, is they're taking Frost Avenue, that's a 4-lane, from English down to 61, and they're going to choke it down to 2-lane. They're going to put in a brand new bridge. The bridge there, if they want a 2-lane bridge, they have a 2-lane bridge. So they're going to choke this down, spend millions on a new bridge, and restrict traffic flow. And that's what Mr. Bradley was talking about, the fact that the fire engines come from Gladstone and have to go down Frost to get over to that area down Larpenter, all the way over by Rice Street, and he used the example of the Cub food store. So it just, you know, rush hour, you've turned the place into the winter, snow, whatever. You just turned a 4-lane street into a 2-lane street. I agree with Mr. Bradley. Let's play the rudeness that Mr. Rosbach does to Mr. Bradley now.
I find it just amazing. Where do you get your information? I mean,
I actually go to Google.
and so you're getting information off of Google that then you're applying to our city? No, your time is up. Your time is up, Mr. Bradley.
I have the chance to respond. You brought it up now. I have a chance to respond.
Mr.
Yes,
Bradley.
I do have that
All right,
response.
go ahead.
You did bring it up. And my answer is yes, Google does tell you how much time it takes to get using the existing speed limit. And you're not supposed to be, even emergencies are not supposed to exceed speed limit.
And Mr. Bradley, Mr. Bradley, if an emergency vehicle is operating with its lights on and responding to a call, it is traveling over the speed limit and there are no stoplights.
Legally, you're not supposed to be traveling over the speed limit, but if they are,
Chief
then
Tamala,
they are
is that
actually
true?
giving your answer.
You're not. I mean, you found a bunch of information. You found a bunch of
time I've given you.
Mr. Bradley, you found a bunch of information on Google that then you think you can apply to the city?
Time was what I got off of Google, 8 minutes. I will repeat it. From the fire station, which has an address, to the address of the Cub food store is 8 minutes off of Google because they do it as a measure of time.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I don't understand then, but basically the information does not apply because it has nothing to do with emergency response. Mr. Nephew.
I mean, that's why people tell me, Bob, we don't want to go up there. We're afraid to go up and speak to that council because of the way Mr. Rosbach is going to demean and ridicule us. And so, you know, then you have Mr. Nephew that was going to interject and ridicule Mr. Bradley some more. You know, Mr. Nephew has this need for attention. I really think that maybe, you know, like I said, I talked to a psychiatrist or a psychologist that I know. The conversation was that Mr. Nephew probably wasn't fully appreciated as a child, wasn't nurtured or loved or was rejected or something, and now he needs to act out and have this attention. So he does this pseudo-intellectual thing, and I see people just at some points wish he would cut it out already. And, you know, and I think it flows over into that demonic card game that he uses. And, well, we should play the human rights stuff. You have to remember that Mr. Nephew gets, via the taxpayer, to disseminate his blog, free internet service, a free computer, free telephone service, the high-speed internet, the deluxe movie channels like HBO and stuff. So he, at the taxpayer's expense, has these privileges to operate his business and his blog. You know, over at St. Paul Schools, if you use the computer like Mr. Nephew uses it, you'd be fired. So let's go into we're down to 5 minutes. Let's play a little bit from the Civil Rights Commission, rightfully stated, and let's go from there.
Please.
Good evening. Thank you. First of all, in regards to the 5 minutes, it's up to this body to decide if they want additional testimony from whoever's presenting. And I fully appreciate Mr. Jonas's comment about not telling the council how to conduct their business. I agree with that. But that's not what this is about. This is about the actions of one individual that happens to have the power of government, that happens to be the mayor. And so when he sits in that chair and calls me an idiot or a buffoon, there is no decorum there, there's no civility there. And so, no, that is a discrimination against me as opposed to somebody else that he favors. That is a discrimination. And if you listen to Kathy Juniman on the council, and she describes how the city is in the business of service. And so when we use that word service, that means a broad spectrum of what the city should provide, and part of that service is to listen to the opinions of the citizens. So when Mr. Rosbach does this, and you know, this apology sounded good. It sounded good to me. But I would hope that you have watched the council meetings prior to and subsequent to. Just last night, they had a public hearing. Mr. Rosbach would not allow me to speak at that public hearing. Now, violation, he makes his rules as he goes. And so unless you watch this happening and the way he demeans people, I have so many people that say to me, Bob, we're afraid to go up there because the way we will be treated by Mr. Rosbach. Now, you know, that's right. This body cannot force the council to do anything, but you can go on record and take a position and make a recommendation to the council. And like I said before, if you watch this, and you know, last time we didn't have this available, but I think it behooves me now at your next meeting to bring you actually not just a audio, but a video presentation of Mr. Rosbach's treating different citizens. And so that is discrimination. He's discriminating with the power of government against people that disagree with his position as to people that agree to his position. I don't know how else to describe this. He himself talks about issues and concerns citizens have. He talked about that. Well, last night, he wouldn't let me present issues and concerns about a project that we were having a public hearing on, that the issues had not been presented and nobody else knew about them. I had to tell people in the entryway after the meeting of some of the issues. So, you know,
apologies don't mean anything if you continue the same action. And so that's what this body needs to look at. And so you needed to look at... All right, we're out of time. We'll be back